Hey, hey, hey. Velkommen och tack för sist. I thought I'd throw a little video together, kind of talking a little bit more about my background and my history, specifically kind of my family and friends and stuff, without going into too much detail. I don't want to betray any trusts or, not everybody wants to be mentioned on social media, so I try to respect that. Coming to you from Oklahoma City tonight. My hotel room, obviously, they're all the same. Trust me. I stay in hotels somewhere around 220 nights a year. And holy crap, I'm getting a little tired. I try really hard not to like cuss or anything on these things. I want to make them as family friendly as possible. So try to keep them clean. But yeah, I stay in hotel rooms a lot with my job. I've been doing this for over 30 years now. I graduated. The deal was kind of, here's another one of my sides. I cannot help myself. Please forgive me. I graduated from BYU, like I mentioned before, many years ago. I was going to teach high school and I wanted to coach basketball. I was not a great basketball player. I played a little bit in high school and I actually got pretty decent after high school. Um, I played JV in 10th grade, I think, and I made the team, high school team, in grade 11. In Canada, we say grade 11 instead of 11th grade. But this other kid that had been on the team before hadn't tried out, and at the last minute, he decided he was going to come back and play. And so coach cut me. Tim, if you're watching, this is for you. Nothing but respect, brother. But I am going to take you up on that golf one day. Anyway, Coach Tim cut me, and I didn't really start playing a lot of basketball till after high school, but I loved it. And I actually thought my coach just had the coolest gig in the world. And I was like, I would like to do that. So I really tried to get decent at basketball and learn basketball. Anyway, another long story short, I graduated from college. And one of the things I didn't do, which I tell my kids all the time, they're all grown now, but I was like, don't just go willy-nilly into some college degree. Look into it, find out what it's going to pay, and do your due diligence so you don't come out of college with some degree in, fine art of polka and figure out you're going to make $10,000 a year. It's essentially what happened to me, because this was many years ago. And I found out I was going to make $17,000 a year. And I had just gone through a divorce. I had a pretty good job. I kind of started my own business long ago. And I had been painting houses in the summer. And I was making more than $17,000 in a summer. And my goal was never to be rich. Money's nice, but more for the freedom than for anything else. But I was like, I'm not gonna work for nothing. I'm not gonna be a teacher and have to be, pulling side hustles all the time on the weekend and the evenings and have no time for my family. So I kind of formally started my business. And I've been doing that ever since. And it's been a good life for me and my family. It's provided well for us, but it's tough. I'm on the road a lot and it's hard work. Anyway, so I've gone into my background a fair bit. I was born in Norway. We moved to Canada when I was a fairly little kid. I wasn't 5 yet. I met my best friend. I don't know if I should say his name or not. He knows who he is. And anybody in Tabor knows who he is. Everybody knows everybody. But I met him when I only spoke Norwegian. He told me years ago that he remembered me. We couldn't communicate, but you know how kids are. Kids can communicate no matter what. And I've said this before too. Kids have no prejudices. They have no biases. They're not bigots. They're nothing. They just love each other. Doesn't matter what they look like, where they came from. This little kid from Norway that didn't speak a word of English. And I made a lifelong friend who's still one of my best friends 50 some years later. So we moved to this cool little town. If you saw it, you might say, cool, it's the middle of nowhere. What are you talking about? But it is a cool little town, Tabor. And you kind of know everybody in a town that size. I mentioned before that it was only 5 or 6, maybe 7,000 people. I don't think it was even that big, but you kind of knew everybody. There were 2 high schools. There was St. Mary's High, where all the Catholic kids went, and there were W.R. Myers High School where I went. And my graduating class was 99 people. I knew everybody, and I was pretty much friends with everybody too. And it's kind of been my philosophy. I'm like anybody else. I got my faults. I screw up. I've pissed friends off. They've pissed me off. And even my best friend growing up, we had a couple of literal slug out, punch out fights, and always ended up best friends again. We got into a lot of trouble, which some of the stories I'd like to tell, I may go into that, kind of veering off a little bit from the Norway theme. I'm always going to come back to that, but we did some, if you've ever seen the movie Stand By Me, I think it came out, early 90s, River Phoenix, and the kid from Star Trek, I can never remember his name. He was on Big Bang Theory all the time. Will something? Anyway, that movie reminds me of my childhood. I mean, we would just wander off. 10, 11 years old, we'd go down to the river bottom, grab some sleeping bags, which reminds me, I have another cool story about that. We were a little bit older, maybe 13, and people didn't know where we were. Nobody knew where you were back then. I mean, nobody locked their doors. You just kind of went off and did your thing. And, but so, yeah, I had this best friend, but I ended up making a whole bunch of great friends. In second grade, another one of my lifelong friends, I haven't seen him in years. He's a professor now, Dave. I won't say any last names. Yeah, I had this whole great group of friends. We would go out, once we started driving, of course, Lethbridge, Alberta was the big city to us, which is comical now that I travel so much. But I'm in Oklahoma City right now, which even that I don't consider the big city. Lethbridge was probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 40,000 people when I lived in Tabor. Maybe 50, I doubt it was 50. Tabor was 5,000. So we would, once we started driving, every weekend, Friday and Saturday night, we'd go up, and this was the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, and everybody still cruised. Cruising was the thing. And I still miss it. I met several girlfriends like that. And maybe a couple are watching. Hi. I met other buddies like that. It was small town America, even though it was Canada. It was not that different than small town America. It really wasn't. Although America to us was kind of like the big, the big place. We were Canada, and that was the United States down there. We used to walk around the playground. We used to walk around the playground when we were, this was like when we were 6, 7, 8 years old. And a bunch of buddies would put their arms around each other. It's so stupid. I don't know if I can tell. We'd put our arms around each other, and we would walk around the playground like marching. And we'd say, hey, get out of our way. We just came from the USA. Good grief, kids are dumb. But we had so much fun growing up in that little town. Another one of my best friends, who's actually now my brother-in-law. So get this. I go through a divorce. My best friend, one of my best friends, has a sister-in-law that goes through a divorce at about the same time. And he happens to be working with me in the States. He lives in Tabor now. But his wife is my wife's sister. They kind of introduced us, and now one of my best friends is my brother-in-law. Talk about small town, huh? But yeah, he moved to Tabor. I was a year or two older than him, but I remember we had this pie eating contest. This was probably like 1978, 79. And I was 15 maybe, and he was like 13 or 14. But we had a pie eating contest, and I kicked ass in this contest. I mean, I won, but I kept looking over, and I think I can say his, well, no, I won't say his name until I talk to him. But I kept looking over and his pie tins were emptying faster than mine were. And I was like, something's fishy here. There was something fishy. I found out afterwards that he was sticking his full pie tins in front of me and he was only eating half the pies. I hope you find this entertaining. I'm obviously finding it very entertaining, reminiscing. But anybody that grew up in a little town, you get this, or probably any town for that matter, any city. I've always said, well, I shouldn't say I've got like one friend, two friends that aren't friends anymore, and it sucks. But pretty much every friend I've ever had in my life is still my friend. I may not see them for years, but when I see them, especially people from Tabor, it's like we saw each other an hour ago. In fact, I was just talking to one of my buddies who ended up going to college with me. We went to this little tiny college. I'll tell some stories about college too, because that was a lot of fun. I got to tell about the trip when we drove down. So I didn't take a car to college. He took his truck, and it was a cool truck. And I didn't realize till much later that he was quite the ladies' man. He that's another story for another day. You know who I'm talking about. But yeah, I talked to him just, actually he showed up at my house maybe 8 or 9 years ago. His son was getting married in Utah and we hadn't seen each other in quite a few years. And it was just like brothers meeting again. I'm noticing this video is going a little bit long, so I'm going to kind of cut it off from here. But it's once I start, it's really hard for me to stop. My brain just goes and goes and goes, and I got all these stories that come out, and hopefully you're finding them entertaining. And if you got comments, let me know. My brothers, I got to talk about my brothers. I'm going to stick a picture of my brothers right here and maybe one here. And I don't know if I have pictures of all of them, but I know I've got some with 4 of us. So there's 7 siblings in my family, 6 brothers and a sister. And we don't get together a whole lot, but man, I love my brothers. That's one of the parts I miss about Tabor right now. I haven't been able to go up there in a couple of years with all the pandemic crap that's been going on. So I'm hoping to get up there soon. But for now, please subscribe if you're digging what you're seeing. I really appreciate it. Give me some input. Give me some suggestions. I will follow up on them. I've gotten several, and I am going to follow up. There's so much in my head. It's just always going, always going, always going. So I will work on that, and hope you're digging it. I guess we'll talk next time. For now, ha det bra. Remember that means have a good one. Till nästa gång. I don't know if I've said that one. Till nästa gång means till next time. And vi snackas. We'll talk again. Så ha det bra. Till nästa gång. Vi snackas. Ha det.